Intellect, the God of our forefathers, the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, and the God of Jacob. And with that being said, let's move forward. You know, we all strive for that relationship with God. You know, we all strive for the love He had for our father Abraham.
Welcome to the Spiritual Development Channel. I'm Nasi Yashi.
There's levels to this. It's only time to level up. Let's strive for greatness. Let's strive for the right thing. Yeah, let's down before our fathers, the one that paved the way for what they.
Welcome back. Welcome to the Spiritual Development Channel. I am Nasi Yashuva. Today we have a powerful lesson: the Sabbath, Circaceptan rhythms, and how to do the Sabbath. Now, there's many people that claim to be Hebrew Israelites, but not many are keeping the Sabbath, and I find it strange because God said this is a sign between Him and His people. All right, so before we get started and I break this down, I want you to subscribe, hit the like button, and share. And if you find this information valuable and you want more information like this, go to Cash App and go to my cash tag Nasi Yashuva and give a donation, a small donation. Anything helps in this movement that we're doing. All right, let's go directly into the book. Genesis 2, verse 1. Thus the heavens and the earth were finished, and all the hosts of them. And on the seventh day God ended his work which he had made, and he rested on the seventh day from all his work which he had made. And God blessed the seventh day and sanctified it, because that in it he had rested from all his work which God created and made. All right, so why do we keep the Sabbath? Man, if God rested. Well, this is a basic concept called imitatio Dei, which means the imitation of God, which is a theological concept meaning man's obligation to imitate God and his actions. So, perfect example, if God is merciful, then we should be merciful. God rested, we rest, because we represent the Creator here on earth. All right, but this sounds weird. An incorporeal, infinite being, tired, rested. All right, let's see what Ibn Ezra says about God resting on the Sabbath. The explanation of a sign is that in 6 days God created, and behold, one performs labor on the Sabbath, he contradicts creation. And the Torah speaks in man's language, so listeners will understand. And so says God rested, for God does not tire or become weary. For behold, his creations that are the heavenly bodies, the stars, the planets in the heavens, eternally revolve day and night. And certainly as the heavenly bodies, the stars and the planets do not tire, more so the Creator of everything, who dwells eternally and exists eternally. And his acts are not through his motion anymore, but rather all he performs is through his word. So basically, Ibn Ezra is saying that through the motion or action of God, he created in 6 days. And in them 6 days, on the seventh, he ceased by infusing it with a soul. And that's why it says, and God said. In quantum physics, you start to see that all material has a resonant cavity around it. It has a voice or sound around it, which interacts electromagnetically with the rapidly varying electrostatic field and the ether that determines its gravitational interactions and movements in space. All right, to make it short, everything has a sound around it. Everything has a voice around it. So we're living by his word and in his word. So he infused this with the soul, and it's perpetuated and proposed through time and space through his word. All right, Rambam comments on Ibn Ezra's comment and says, when we were asked why we cease our labors, we explained that we are mimicking the Creator, who too rested on the seventh day. With our deviant behavior, we act as a catalyst to bring awareness of God to others. We act as a sign to creation and thereby a sign to God's existence. If, however, we violate the Sabbath, we prevent other people from learning the Torah truth of creation. This is what Ibn Ezra means that we contradict creation when not observing the Sabbath. All right, the history of the Sabbath. Now, there was a few ancient cultures who had the seventh-day Sabbath, the ancient Babylonians and the Akkadians under Sargon, also the black Hebrews who derived from Sumer. Now, 7 in itself is a powerful number. All music that is based on 7 basic notes of music, the 8th note is just a higher or lower octave. When light passes through a prism, it then splits into 7 parts. There are 7 basic crystal systems and minerals. Our periodic table has 7 levels of periodicity. Let's go to an article, The Origin of the Sabbath and the Seventh-day Week. Franz Halberg proposes the body rhythms about 7 days, far from being passively driven by social cycles of the calendar week, are innate and autonomous, and perhaps the reason why the calendar week arose in the first place. So he's saying that this is not based off of, our cycle is not based off of the calendar week, but yet our body may have influenced the reason why the calendar is on the 7th-day cycle. These circumceptors, or about weekly rhythms, are one of the major surprises turned up by modern chronobiology. So they called it circumceptor rhythms, a new rhythm that they discovered, that our body is in the rhythm of 7 days and need to cease on the 7th. Back to the article. 15 years ago, a few scientists who have expected that 7-day biological cycles would prove to be so widespread and so long established in the living world, they are very ancient of origin, appearing in primitive one-cell organisms, and are thought to be present even in bacteria, the simplest form of life now existing. Interesting. So even in the smallest forms of life, this 7-day cycle exists. All right. There are also examples in other living things, such as algae, Actibuloria mediterranea, popularly known as mermaid's wineglass, that shows a 7-day growth cycle, or Brazilian bees that observe the 7th-day Sabbath rest cycle. If the 7th-day week is an invention of culture and religion, as most historians would have us believe, how do we explain the innate circumceptive rhythms in primitive algae, rats, plants, bees, and face flies? These forms of life have no calendar and can't read the Torah. There is even evidence that being out of sync with circumceptive cycles may have an effect on longevity. Consider, for example, that the lifespan of the face of a fly musca, autumnalis, or a springtail, Phasomia candida, are markedly longer when oviposition shifts are allowed to be carried out in intervals that are 7 days apart. Interesting. So it seems that the creation follows this 7-day cycle. Keep this in mind. Now, many people believe that the Sabbath is based off of moon observations. This is a big thing going around now, but I'm going to help you prove and disprove that myth. And it's real simple. The scriptures do not support that, right? Prove that the Sabbath is not based off of a moon. All right. Now we look at day 1, day 2, and day 4. Now this is the counting of the days. You do not get your Met or your luminaries until day 4. So the 7th day count was already in process before the moon was even created. The moon was created on the 4th day, so if we were going by the moon, why didn't we calculate it from the 4th day and start a 7th day count there? That's one. But I really want to go to Leviticus 15:16. And ye shall count unto you from the morrow after the Sabbath, from the day that you bring the sheaf, the wave offering, 7 Sabbaths shall be completed. Even until the morrow after the 7th Sabbath shall you number 50 days, and ye shall offer a new meat offering to the Lord. Okay, in Leviticus, this is Torah. Torah. Your opinions do not override Torah. When you go to Leviticus, it says when you do Shavuot, a holy season, we are to count 7 Sabbaths. 7 times 7 is 49. And the morrow after the Sabbath, we are to observe Shavuot. Listen, so if you are going by the moon, since the moon changes every 29 and a half days, you will not have a 7 completions of 7 weeks based off of 7 days to equal 49. It would be off, and you would never get the 50 count to have Shavuot. So according to whoever wrote this Leviticus, or whoever wrote this part of the Torah, they were basing it off of a 7th day cycle Sabbath that had nothing to do with the moon. You have to complete 7 complete weeks, which is 49, and then count tomorrow, which will be 50, in order to observe this holy day. This count would never happen if we were going by the moon. History of the lunar calendar, right? And I'm talking about not the Sabbath based off the moon, but our calendar is based off of the moon. So that's the difference. Not our week, but our calendar is based off the moon. Based on this, some civilizations created a calendar that follows two things: the phase of the moon and the seasons around them. The lunar phase or lunations, from what we today call synodic months. The word months come from the Germanic word moon. And there are roughly 12 synodic months in a solar year, which in itself is strikingly similar to our normal year, with a difference of about 20 minutes. A pure lunar calendar has only really been used in Islam. However, many pre-Gregorian civilizations used a lunar solar calendar. So pre-Gregorian civilizations used a lunar solar calendar, which took into account not only the moon but also the seasons and the stars and the constellations throughout the year. As a consequence, they have to count an extra day here and there to make the math work. Lunar solar calendars are most popular in South Asia and in the Middle East. The Hebrews, Hindus, Buddhists, and Tibetans all use a lunar solar calendar. So now I express what we use here now. A lunar solar calendar. So let's go into how to keep the Sabbath. Now we're told not to do any laborious work on the Sabbath. Exodus 20, verse 8 through 10. All right, the word used is malakah. It means generally employment or work, business, industrious, or occupation. All right, so on the Sabbath, we do not work. We do not do any heavy work. We do not lift any burdens. We don't work out. We do none of that on the Sabbath. We cease and rest our body. Our employers cannot call us in. We will not go on the Sabbath because this is a sign between us and the Lord, and we will never forsake the Creator. Number two, another thing to do on the Sabbath is remain clean and holy. Leviticus 10:10, and that ye may put a difference between the holy and the unholy, between the clean and the unclean. Now, the Most High used these two words in juxtaposition. He said the holy and the unholy and the clean and the unclean. Because he wants you to remain pure on the Sabbath day. We're not to defile ourselves on the Sabbath because the Sabbath is a holy day. So on that day, we have to be clean. So what does that mean? We stay away from these things: dead bodies, unclean animals, sex, women on their menstrual cycle, people with STDs that have issues coming out of them, women in their days of uncleanliness after childbirth. And one of the great things that we do in our culture is we bathe before sundown on Friday night. So Friday night begins the Sabbath and it ends on Saturday night. We bathe before the sundown. It's our ritual. All right, we cook and prep before the Sabbath. And this is Exodus 16:23, and he said to them, this is that which Yah has said. Tomorrow is the rest of the holy Sabbath unto Yah. Bake that which you bake today, and seethe that which you seethe, and that which remaineth over lay up for you to be kept until the morning. All right, so here the Sabbath, we're told to prepare before the Sabbath. We do not cook on the Sabbath. We prepare our food before the Sabbath, and then we cease and relax and enjoy such a beautiful day. Number 4, no kindling the fire. You should not kindle no fire throughout your habitations upon the Sabbath day. This is Exodus 35:3. No fire kindling, people. All right, you know what I'm talking about. Number 5, refrain from speaking and doing things that don't pertain to worshiping Yah. Now, this is explained in the scriptures. If thou turn away thy foot from the Sabbath, from doing thy pleasure on my holy day, and call the Sabbath a delight, holy of Yah, honorable, and shall honor him, not doing thy own ways, nor finding thy own pleasure, nor speaking thy own words. We didn't watch secular TV. We didn't speak of things that had nothing to do with the spiritual aspect of who we are on the Sabbath. This is deep, y'all. We had a day of just returning to Eden, returning to paradise. All right, last but not least, number 6, Leviticus 23. 6 days shall work have be done, but the 7th day is a Sabbath of rest, a holy convocation. You shall do no work therein. It is the Sabbath of Yah in all your dwellings. So we are commanded to gather And the word it uses, mikware, which is come from the word kwarar. Kwarar is like a shepherd calling his sheep together. So we're supposed to come together as a people and have a holy gathering on the Sabbath. This is not just with you by yourself, but you come together with all the Hebrews who worship with you, and you celebrate and rejoice in the holy name of the Creator. See, this is powerful. And I'm going to do a part 2 to this video. So I hope you enjoyed what you heard so far, and I hope you can apply this to your life. The Sabbath is very important. Remember, Spiritual Development Channel, Nasi Yashuva. Like, subscribe, and share. Thank you.